George Bush, who had been, I think, initially the vice president and then, of course, became president, had been petitioned by the families of the naval aviators that had been killed in this crash. So eventually we get the letter, the president wants us to go recover the aircraft because it's at about 10,000 feet. That's where they thought it was. And they figured we could do some high-altitude diving. And the place where we think the plane has crashed is in what I believe to have been kind of an old volcanic, area. I mean, it looks like the inside of what you'd think of as a volcano. But we're looking around thinking that the plane is probably in the water. That's why we were sent up to get it. 40, 50 years at that point in time. Of course, it is because the ice would melt and it would just crush the plane. So there's nothing left but tiny pieces. But so now we have found the remains of the plane, and again, there were some. We eventually bring some of the family out that was fit enough to be there. We did manage to find some bone fragments, and we buried those at the site. You can believe it or not, but it is true, and I'm not the only one to have seen it. As we are kind of burying the remains of this thing, and I say a little prayer over this cross we put up there, and as I get through saying it, all of a sudden one of the guys turns to me and goes, "Hey, sir, take a look up there." And again, if you can imagine, we're in this bowl, and I think it goes up to about 8,000 feet or something like that. And right above the ridge line, I see what looks like a parachute flare. I'm thinking, is somebody shooting parachute flares? And I'm looking around thinking, well, maybe one of our guys is, shooting parachute flares. And nobody's shooting parachute flares. There's one, and there's two, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and they're kind of hovering up there. And looking around thinking, what in the world? And the guy says, "Hey, sir, how many of those do you see?" And again, it's this kind of glowing orb, and it's just kind of floating up there. And there were 9 of them. And there were 9 victims on the plane. And it was up there for 10 or 15 minutes. They all kind of hovered up, and then one by one, they just kind of went up. So I said, look, you can believe the story or not, but I'm not the only one that saw it.